Hello and welcome back to The Wi-Fi is Out with me, Double T.
And me, Eros, your two hosts, as you know and love.
We're here to talk about Secret Invasion. The full series is out, all 6 episodes. That's right, only 6 episodes.
Only 6 episodes for one of Marvel's supposedly extremely hyped TV shows.
Yes.
Oof, okay.
$200 million budget, apparently.
Okay, I'll keep an open mind until you give me the information on this.
So, last time we talked about it was when episode 1 came out, where Fury comes back to Earth after being away for some time in space, setting up S.W.O.R.D.
Okay, I'm following.
Meets back up with Talos, who we've only seen 2 other times.
And who was Talos again? I forget. It's been a hot minute.
The Skrull alien who was in Captain Marvel, the leader of the people hiding out in the spaceship of Earth, and who was acting as Nick Fury in the Spider-Man film.
In his, time being where Nick was gone. Okay.
With his wife. Maria Hill shows back up as well. And then she dies. 30 minutes later.
Okay.
With a Skrull acting as Nick Fury, shooting her in the face. Body.
Same difference. Either way is going to kill you.
And it was such a stupid decision, especially with the way they execute the blackmail later.
Okay, so I need you to go into detail on these episodes, or as much as you can, without I guess giving away too much, but give away everything you want.
We're probably going to give away everything. Spoiler warning.
Okay, if you haven't seen it and you do want to see it before you hear our takes on it, I guess, or Double T's takes, go watch it, then come back. If you don't care, just listen ahead, and Double T's going to go through everything.
I don't think I've been this pissed at the MCU in the longest time. If ever.
Because even She-Hulk you liked. Loki was good.
Yeah, there were hits
stuff.
and misses, but they were still good.
Yeah.
They didn't have this great ramifications that Secret Invasion has.
Okay, so go ahead. The stage is all yours.
Apparently, they've been planning this Secret Invasion since MCU time 2016. Because War Machine has been a Skrull since Civil War, apparently.
Okay. Interesting.
The time period we are now is 2025. Because when Infinity War came out in 2020, they did a time skip of 5 years. And that's where all these current MCU projects have been.
Okay, obviously after the time skip, because, it's the world readjusting. And they can use the time skip, I assume, to slot in or out whoever they want.
Yeah. So, we're slowly catching up, but they're still in 2025. So, for 9 years, they've apparently been planning this invasion.
Okay. So, real quick, with this 5-year gap, where a lot of half the population of Earth has disappeared, and the Skrulls are there, which has been canonically assumed for 9 years, you said, right?
Yes.
9 years the Skrulls have been here theoretically, and for 5 years half the population has been gone. So they could have just slotted in or out any superhero for a Skrull that disappeared during that time, and people would be none the wiser, because no one would know who disappeared and who didn't unless you directly saw that person disappear.
So, your question, I'm going to actually answer it in a couple parts.
Okay.
So, it reminded me, since Captain Marvel, when Nick Fury met Talos, he included the Skrulls to be his secret spy force.
Okay.
That's why Nick Fury is the person he is today.
Yes, that's Nick Fury for you.
They promised to find them a planet. So, even before Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, she didn't get dusted, but Nick Fury did. Before they got dusted, there was already the side Skrulls who wanted to replace people, which apparently they take them down to a nuclear power plant in Russia because they can survive in radiation.
Okay.
Strap them to basically, essentially, a hospital bed connected to a TV.
Okay.
And they can steal their memories by placing their hands on their heads.
So do the people that are strapped down die of the radiation then? Because that's kind of what would happen.
Rhodey's been there for apparently 9 years, and he's just okay.
Interesting plot hole, but okay.
Which, by the way, real quick, the reason why I know Rhodey has probably been gone since 2016, he's still wearing the hospital gown, and when he tries to get up from this machine, it's like he's expecting his legs to work, but they do not work.
Oh, and Rhodey lost his legs.
He basically became paralyzed after Vision shot him, and he fell hundreds to thousands of feet in the air.
Yeah, okay. So that really does date when,
Yeah.
he got taken.
So, they still have all the same people who they took over inside these contraptions.
Okay.
Rhodey is so far the only Skrull impersonator that we know on the Avengers lineup.
I guess, but you also kind of answered my question about why they didn't just slot in superheroes. So they actually have to have the physical person connected to these devices so they can steal their memory. Otherwise, they could still take the shape. They just wouldn't have, like, the mannerisms of them memorized. Correct?
Correct.
So that kind of explains why they wouldn't, but they could still bullshit their way through it.
I can actually give another example.
Okay.
They gave us Super Skrulls.
Yes.
In the show.
Correct.
Super Skrull is where they change their DNA, where they change a part of their body and can replicate the powers of somebody. They did not have that till now.
Okay.
So they couldn't take anybody who had DNA powers, basically.
They couldn't, or they wouldn't because they couldn't replicate their powers. So, for example,
they probably wouldn't, because why would you take over Captain Marvel when you can't fly like her?
I guess, but if you only took her over for periods of time, like you pretended to be her, but like where like quote unquote AFK, where you appeared to the public as Captain Marvel, did what you need to do, but then she just didn't
the real
exist
one
off-screen.
could show up as like, hey, something's going on.
Oh, okay, that's fair. I guess I can see that. It's still a weird. I feel like they could kind of skirt around it a little bit, but it would be very complicated to work in.
Well, we'll come back to the Super Skrulls later.
I figured you had something else in mind.
So the way we found out Rhodey was a Skrull was through a telephone call. And this is why I think Maria Hill dying in the first episode is so dumb. They should have teamed up with War Machine for War Machine to turn into Nick Fury and then shoot Maria Hill dead.
Okay.
So that way they can continue the plot of like Nick Fury gets blackmailed into like, leave me the hell alone.
Yeah.
So now back to the Super Skrulls.
Okay. Well, I got covered some. Yeah.
They gave them multiple powers because apparently they sent Skrulls into the battlefield of Endgame and took everybody's DNA.
What? What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any fucking... Okay, please elaborate on this.
So, when we first see the machine that gives the Super Skrulls power, we see pictures of Groot's arm, a Frost Beast from Thor Dark World, Extremis, which was like regeneration, heat.
Okay.
And then the fourth one was Cole Obsidian, one of Thanos' person who got his arm chopped off, thanks to Wong, greatest character in the MCU now.
They don't give enough screen time.
So at most, it kind of seemed like they gave him almost like the original Fantastic Four powers. that the original Super Scroll had.
Okay.
But then the leader, Gravik, wanted all the DNA powers.
Okay.
Which Nick Fury apparently had when he sent all the scrolls to the Battle of Endgame to collect Captain America's, Hulk, Captain Marvel, Thanos' other minions, probably Thanos too. And then they just get all the powers. So we have 2 Super Scrolls who are basically the strongest characters now.
So wait a minute. So these Super Scrolls, there's no limitation to how many powers they can have.
They have all the powers of the characters at the Endgame battle that had DNA powers.
Which was, from what it seemed like, they could just say that anyone was there because no one could count out every single person.
They showed Ghost was at the battle, and I'm pretty sure Ghost was never seen once in the battle. So any character that you think has a DNA power right now,
they could just say that they have it.
That's what Gia
except
has.
for X-Men, technically, still. Because
Except for
X-Men are still off the table.
Except for Miss Marvel.
Anyone that could not have possibly been at the battle because they're excluded by rules of either they're a character that's known wasn't at the battle or they're in a multiverse that just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay. But that confuses me. So what you're saying is one of these Super Scrolls can go and get all of the superpowers of the entire Avengers team that had DNA powers, like Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, technically, because they're imbued in him, and the hammer.
I didn't see his name, but I'm willing to bet he popped.
Like, I would assume he would count to some extent because, like, he has the powers. He just uses Mjolnir as like a conduit for most of them.
He does have. He is the God of Thunder now, and he can do it. Yeah. Without the hammer.
So I would assume to some extent they have like Thor's, but so they could just put one Super Scroll with all the Avengers powers, and then he could just transform into any of the Avengers at any time with their perfect memories, their perfect voice line.
No memories. They didn't use the machine to grab their memories.
But I'm saying if they got, like, essentially, so let's say you need the Hulk, okay? You need the Hulk, you need his memories to become him. Or Spider-Man, we'll go Spider-Man. You need Spider-Man, you need his memories to become him, okay? So you send out a Super Scroll, and maybe you pay some money and you get Taskmaster. So you have Taskmaster beat the crap out of Spider-Man with this scroll, who also looks like Spider-Man and has his powers, and is taught by Taskmaster how to fight Spider-Man. And you have them take out Spider-Man, and then put Spider-Man in one of these holding facilities to then take his powers, and now you're Spider-Man. With the knowledge of Spider-Man, all of his powers, as well as you could be Spider-Man, and then Iron Man shows up, and you need to take him out, and then now all of a sudden you have the Hulk's powers too on top of Spider-Man's powers. Now you're a Spider-Man Hulk, because screw that. That is mind-blowingly stupid, but ridiculously funny.
So there, just keep in mind, there's only 2, Gravik and Gia.
Okay.
They made it seem like Gravik died, but like I said, the Extremist has like regeneration.
So they can just bring him back.
We saw Gia die and then get brought back thanks to the Extremist powers.
So do they both have all of the powers each, or do they select fuse, like between them?
So the way Gia had it, the finale, they had to go face Gravik to stop USA from launching a nuclear missile at the Russian nuclear plant to start World War III.
Okay.
So they had to be in 2 places at once.
Okay.
It shows us Nick Fury going to Gravik where he can't survive the radiation. So immediately I went, oh, that's Gia. She's going to trick him into getting superpowers because she hold the vial.
Okay.
And then sure enough, Nick Fury stopped by with the president of USA and was like, hey, no, you can't do this. That guy, that right there, War Machine, he's a Skrull. Shoots him dead. Skrull pops up and of course get powers.
Okay. So Gravik is bad then.
Gravik is the bad guy.
And Gia is the good version. But
bad guy. He's trying to protect
the scroll population by doing it in a what we would consider a terrible way, but what his race would consider like that's just how you should do it.
But he got drunk with power, and
he's not bad. He's just morally wrong.
Well, he killed all the scrolls in the nuclear power plant.
Oh, so he's just bad then. He's bad. If he would have kept the scrolls alive and he was just like trying to kill the human race, I'd be like, okay, he's just morally wrong from our point of view, but he's still protecting the scrolls. But if he just killed her, he's just bad. And Gia's the good one.
I just want to say this real quick.
Yeah.
I know I've been talking bad about this. The one thing they did do correctly is the tackle on racism.
Yeah.
Because they tackled black racism and like the scroll racism. I felt that was
pretty well portrayed.
Yeah.
That's good. I still can't get over the hump that you now have two scrolls that are essentially what seem to be immortal, invincible, super strong, have every superhero and supervillain's possible superpower from the Endgame War, which was a lot of people, that they could just be like, oh yeah, this person was there, and you can't say they weren't because we get the final say.
Yep.
And it would just like they're invincible. They could kill anything.
Well, like one way to beat them is to trick them to use Drax strength instead of Hulk strength, because that was one thing that happened. They kept switching through super strength for some reason. Like you saw Korg's rock body pop up and it's like, okay, he's pretty strong. Then they switched to Cole Obsidian strength and it's like, oh, like he's strong too.
Wait, so they can only use one power at a time?
It seems like both arms, both legs,
each individual body part
can use one. They have to transform that body into
the body of the other person. So, for example, if they turned an arm into, let's say, Spider-Man's arm, they would have the web slinging and the spider strength.
Web slinging in this is technological.
Okay, fine. We'll go with freaking, oh my god, who's another superhero that has multiple superpowers that I'm just like not thinking of off the top of my head? Because Hulk is basically just strength. You know, he has the regeneration. Do any superheroes have multiple superpowers besides like Spider-Man that I can think of? My brain's not working.
No.
Because Hulk is strength. Captain America is strength. Thor is lightning and I guess technically strength, but that's his muscles, not really a super strength. It's just like God strength, so it's not like necessarily a superpower. I really can't think of a superhero with. But for example, you get what I'm saying though. If they transform like their legs into someone that has super speed and super regeneration, would they then have super speed and super regeneration, or do they just get the super speed or super regeneration?
They should be able to get both. Because that's part of their DNA.
Okay, but then another question on top of that, if one hand, like one arm, has super strength, and the other arm has
Groot's power,
does Groot's power also now get the super strength because it's still part of their body as a whole, or is it specifically cut off at each ligament section?
I think it's cut off at each ligament section.
Okay, that makes them less overpowered because there's easy ways to get around that. But the loophole where you said, oh, well, you just have to trick them into using Drax strength instead of Hulk strength, like, what idiot scroll, whatever, just be like, yeah, I'm just going to have Hulk strength in one arm. Like, why would you not have Hulk strength in your whole body or both arms?
Watch the finale, because that's what they did.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Gia literally walks up and flexes Drax's arm, and is like, what? Okay, like, I don't think he's stronger than, like, Cole Obsidian, who was, like, 2 times his size, or Korg, who's literally made out of rocks.
Or the Hulk, who's literally made out of pure gamma radiation and rage, is literally probably the strongest canonical character in the entire Marvel universe as he gets more pissed off. Even Thanos at max strength is like, yeah, I don't fuck with Hulk. I don't, not doing that. I'll kick anyone else's asses. I'll go up against Galactus if I have to. Fuck Hulk. Like, now I understand why the ending was disappointing.
This finale was definitely not what I expected
Yeah.
because nothing really happened throughout the show. There was no secret spy.
Yeah.
Forgetting the word.
Spy arc representation.
Yeah.
I can't think of the word you're looking for either.
I basically knew who a Skrull was the entire time. There was no backstabbing.
There was no scenes where it's like, I think it's this person, and it turns out it was someone completely different that actually
That's
made
why
sense.
I said, like, War Machine, who, by the way, never armored up in this show,
His one thing.
could have teamed up with Nick Fury and Maria Hill
Yeah.
and did the whole twist. Like, they could have made us believe Maria Hill was the Skrull,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he turns around and is like, "You're dead. Bye."
That would have been better than what apparently happened. But then that also... So the only way to beat these Super Skrulls, theoretically, outside of just making them use weaker versions of powers they have, is to use a stronger version than the powers they have. So if they had super regeneration, you would have to use someone that can kill them faster than their super regeneration could heal. Or if you had super strength, you'd have to use the Hulk, as long as they didn't have the Hulk's power. But then once they got the Hulk's power, you were screwed.
Yeah.
Like,
They literally made the strongest character now.
I feel like a Super Skrull should only have access to one superpower per Skrull, but that's just me.
I won't say I know the limitations on it,
Well-
but I did see them use two arms at once that were two different.
I mean, I would assume each body segment you could only have one power per body segment. Like, you couldn't duplicate Hulk into two arms. You have to pick which segment you want, so it's like a mashup of characters or whatever. But then that kind of defeats the purpose of them being a Skrull, because a Skrull is supposed to change their whole body into being what they want to portray. So then you're stripping that entire thing away. So it's like a power versus a like strategy. But then it also defeats the purpose of, like, if you have a Super Skrull that you need to mimic Hulk, and you can only have one arm be the Hulk, you can't mimic superheroes then. Unless you just can't use their powers, but you could still look like them, but you can only use the power. For example, he could look like the Hulk. He could use the Hulk's power, but only in one body part at a time. So he'd have to consistently be switching it every single time he threw a punch.
I mean, I would not be surprised the next time we see Gia. By the way, is Talos' daughter. So
Oh, okay.
the good Skrull. We won't get a Kevin 11 situation later, where they have
She's
Korg
like a mutant.
legs, Hulk legs, Groot arm,
That's exactly what I'm
Mantis-
imagining. Is it's
Mantis-
Kevin 11.
or
Head or whatever.
no, Mantis's,
Antenna.
yeah. I would not be surprised if we don't get that later.
I feel like what they have to do, if they're doing like another movie or season, like have episodes or whatever, is the first thing they have to do is address, oh yeah, Gaia has been training to control her powers and figure out how they work because no one else knows how they work. And they go in an in-depth explanation of not only how it works so that everyone canonically knows, like, okay, they can do what I described, where they can look like the person, but they can only use one power at a time. Or they can mix and match and use all of them, but they can't look like somebody.
That is probably one of the cool things about the finale.
Yeah.
It seems like she's with Britain, spy intelligence now.
Yeah.
So one of the closest things we got to the, I don't know their official name, but the British Avengers in the universe.
Another question, actually.
What?
You have Hulk and She-Hulk. If she takes Hulk powers and she takes She-Hulk powers, to her, are they actually different in any way? Because they're two different characters. Or are they both just considered Hulk strength? Or would one canonically be stronger?
One, I don't think they're going to get more powers because I would imagine the machine gets shut down now.
Oh, it's a machine. Oh, that makes more sense now.
But I would think they would be two separate arms.
So for anyone listening, how I thought this worked is they literally basically had like a DNA sample of whatever superhero they need the power from, and the Skrull had to go up and like commune with it, I guess, basically like touch the sample and absorb the DNA into their body, like copy it into their body. So for example, if you need the Hulk's power, you just go up to the Hulk as a Skrull, put your hand on his arm for X amount of time, theoretically, like canonically, that it would take for your DNA to copy his DNA and be able to like change it. And then you just be able to have that power, not have to use like a machine.
No, they have to use machines to further advance their shape-shifting skills.
Now it makes sense. Because I genuinely just thought like, oh, if I want Hulk, like I'm a super Skrull, like I have the ability to copy superpowers. You go up to Hulk, you absorb his DNA. Then let's say you need like Spider-Man, so you'd have to go up to Spider-Man and you absorb his DNA, but it deletes the Hulk's DNA. So it exchanges it. It's like a slot.
This just came to mind. I don't think they have Spider-Man DNA because Sony has to approve that paycheck to even use the word.
That's funny. But no, what I'm saying though is like it's like you have an equipment slot in your body that you can have one type of DNA. But then like for these guys, they like have 10 slots that they could use, you know. And I was like, but that's not how it works. That would have been so much better if you could have like slots that are theoretically like an inventory inside of your mind that you could like slot different DNA pieces into that you just replicated. But no. They're just like, oh yeah, we're just going to give them like a scientific injection that just gives them powers. And then if the machine's broke, like they're just screwed. They're just stuck with those powers. They can't get anymore.
They already have like 20-ish powers.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I don't like the idea that they could just have a Kevin 11 amount of powers.
That's why they probably only made 2 for the show.
Probably. Kevin 11 was literally the first Skrull confirmed. He was the best one too.
But to go back to the budget,
yeah,
$200 million, 6 episodes, and I still feel like shit for watching it.
Like, I feel like not a lot of people are going to watch that for $2 million. And given this is $2 million, and they didn't use any name brand superheroes.
Well, I'll get to that part in a second.
Okay, I'll hold off.
I'm looking at the next available TV shows. Ironheart, Agatha, Coven of Chaos, Echo, Armor Wars. I want them all scrapped.
Really?
They are not, maybe except for Ironheart, because she seems she's going to be important. But if they can't deliver on these shows, like, why are we getting WandaVision Part 2 with Agatha, Coven of Dark Chaos?
Yeah, it's just more on Agatha.
Yeah, she made a catchy song. That's it.
Yeah.
And people love her. That's probably going to be like 6 episodes with another $200 million budget. And it's like, hey guys, let's put that into Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumania. So that wasn't bad.
Yeah. And given, they already kind of have canonically justified that the Scarlet Witch, whatever her fucking name is,
Wanda
beats the crap out of Agatha every day of the week blindfolded. So even if Agatha comes back, she can't get stronger than Wanda. So what's the point of giving her a show when she's no longer relevant?
And like, Echo came from Hawkeye. Like, she's a cool character, especially for deaf people. Like, she's really cool. I don't see her being that important later. She should be more of a side character, like how Hawkeye was at the beginning.
Yeah, he's there as just like a supportive role.
Yeah.
To amplify your main character's like power field.
So you actually reminded me.
Okay. They
had no heavy hitters in Secret Invasion besides Rhodey, which the instant I heard he was like the only Avengers, like, he's a Skrull. Like,
he's a Skrull. He's not going to be real. That's it.
Yeah. I didn't expect them to cut him out till 2016. Rhodey, it's like, well, that time doesn't even make sense. Because they're just, like, now, like, give them a couple years, thinking, like, Nick Fury and Captain Marvel have betrayed us. Like, how dare they? So the time doesn't even really make sense to me anymore. And I just feel like the MCU is just falling down a rabbit hole now.
I feel like what the MCU should have done is they should have gone through every single character they own and every single character they could own and basically made 2 separate piles. And they basically raffle through them, like one of those like ball raffles where they spin it and then like a tag, like a ball rolls out, you get the number. And they basically have to do that and do half, like 50% of all of their characters on both ends, and be like, canonically, this is the list of people that got dusted, and it's just all RNG. So like if they rolled Iron Man, Iron Man has to get dusted no matter what in the movie. They have to find a way to work it in. And then everyone has a guaranteed, like, this is who got dusted.
Why didn't they give us a Skrull who acted like the character when they were dusted?
Oh, that would have been so good, because Skrulls... Oh, no, Skrulls still would have got affected, because it's 50% of all life in the universe.
It really made it sound like they weren't affected.
It really made it sound like just humans were affected. It was just Earth. That's
like,
what I
know
affected.
They were affected, but they rarely bring up the events anymore.
But here's the thing, though, is 50% of all life in the universe got dusted. They easily could have made that a more actual, like, empathetic scene and been like, oh my god, this really got affected. If in this thing, they, like, when they zoomed back to, like, you know, him being in the hospital or whatever, if they showed, like, other parts of the universe or something that got dusted at any point in time on any movie, like, made it a plot point in any of their future movies after the event, been like, oh yeah, my cousin got dusted, you know, like, just something small like that just shows, like, oh wait, this actually affected every planet. Oh shoot. Whereas it doesn't seem like it affected anyone but Earth. Thanos just really hated humans. That was what Thanos' daughter was dating human, and he hated humanity. He was like, screw you guys, I'm dusting just your Earth.
This movie leads into the Marvels.
Okay.
Which might be our last MCU thing for a while.
Okay.
I've just heard, like, Deadpool 3 got, like, postponed.
Yep, unfortunately.
Because of all the strikes.
All the writer strikes, which is a talk for
which
another
they're
time,
justified.
But... Oh, no, they're 100% justified. I agree with them 100%. It sucks that we're not getting content, but I'd rather they strike than make these movies, honestly. Just saying.
I don't know if I have the confidence that the Marvels is going to even be good anymore.
I'm going to be honest. I don't have the confidence that any movies coming out for the next 2 to 5 years are going to be good. I think they're going to be mediocre at best.
So since of the strikes, apparently the last time they did this, they're going to start doing reality shows. MCU reality show.
Oh my god. Iron Man
which they couldn't do. They couldn't do, but that would be just so funny.
They have to start doing the other multiverses as reality shows so they don't screw up their current timeline.
Housewives of, like, Stark Tower or something.
But here's the reason that I don't think, and I know this kind of goes on the whole writer strike, and this isn't necessarily part of the episode, but I have to say, for the next, like, 2 to 5 years, stuff's going to be screwed up, because if the big CEOs of these, you know, movie companies that are getting striked against don't figure out something to fix it, if everyone just quits, we have no movies. We have no movies. We have no TV shows. We have no anything that had to do with these strikes at all for who knows how long. Because it's simple as, like, if you don't, like, if everyone quits and they can't hire anyone, they have no one to do the work that they can't fucking do. But that's all I have to say. It's just if everyone just quits, like, they can't do anything. There's no one wants to take the job. People aren't trained because college costs too much.
I mean, I guess I'm just glad that Endgame came out when it did.
Oh, yeah.
Because COVID and these strikes really seem like they're going to kill
a lot of movies.
The MCU. Especially the DCU, too.
And the DCU's barely holding on by a thread at this point with how rough it's getting.
Yeah, but if they can't hire people to make their movies...
And what's to stop, like, let's say some of the name actors go on the strike, too, like, they can't use those actors in their movies even if they get a crew to do the movie. So that replaces entire characters that people below or love, like Love and shit.
Oh, I would not watch what's a good character? Moon Knight Season 2 if they changed actors at this point.
Yeah. They're doing it with and this is all side note stuff. I know it doesn't go with your main topic, but like The Witcher Season 3 or whatever no longer has the Superman actor or what I forget his fucking name.
That's a different reason.
No, that's a different reason, but I'm going along the point of they changed the actor completely and now no one wants to watch it because the actor that they know and they love in the role isn't there anymore. Which I don't blame the new guy for taking the role, but no one wants to watch it because you're attached to that actor in that role and that character looking that way. So if you were to replace, like, let's say, fucking can't say Spider-Man because
They
Spider-Man's
bring
beloved.
back Iron Man, but it's somebody else besides
Yeah, but it's Tom
Robert.
Cruise. But
Yeah,
it's-
I would not like it.
Yeah, because they could just be like, oh, well, it's a multiverse version that got trapped. It's like, no, just put us in that multiverse then, because that would make more sense.
I think that's about it. My hatred of the MCU right now.
It's getting rough. It's getting rough. They need to figure their shit out and start putting their money into making these better shows, and they need to figure out their canonities.
I feel like all the shows that focused on like a main Marvel character, like Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel,
Loki
did great. But when they tried to split the cast, like Falcon and Winter Soldier, Secret Invasion, it's like that's where you lose people.
So it seems like what you might be saying is they're really good at zoning in on a specific storyline that they're trying to get across versus an idea that they're trying to get across.
Like when you just focus on Moon Knight, he's Egyptian gods, death.
Yeah, and you can build the story around him.
And instead of Falcon and Winter Soldier is like the growing of Winter Soldier, the new Captain America, and
especially when they're only one season and you have like a 6-episode season, that is not enough to get the information that you want to display with Secret Invasion across.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened with TV, because some characters that I was expecting to pop up were the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters. You know how much people would have lost it if Phil Coulson came back on screen?
It would have made sense.
I would have loved to see Quake back.
Don't know who that is, but I can accept that it would probably be dope if you're thinking it's dope because you're the Marvel
She became a main character after Phil Coulson died for the 3rd time.
Yeah, they could have used this as an opportunity to add other characters in and just made it more than 6 episodes. Make it a 12 to 15 episode season and be like, hey, here's more information, more background.
That's what's losing me with these shows, is because I expect something to happen every single episode. It's like, you guys only have 3 more episodes. Why are you still sitting on the couch playing with, like, quarters?
But instead they decided to just basically waste everyone's time by making this season the show that honestly doesn't really introduce anything new besides the basic premise of how Skrulls work, which they didn't even explain very well about how Super Skrulls work. Because I feel like that alone would have been like 3 or 4 episodes explaining how this works and how their powers are used, other than she flexes Drax's arm, and then like now she has Drax's power in one arm. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's it.
Damn. God, I'm really gonna hate that if that's their answer. Is like if they transform into the Hulk, they have Hulk's powers in one limb of their body. So if they're fighting the real Hulk, they have to switch powers and throw one punch or one kick or a headbutt or take a punch to the chest at a time. Yeah. So the best way to defeat them would be to throw a punch as the Hulk at the Hulk counterpart. So as they're throwing a punch and you're throwing a punch, they have to decide, is my punch going to hurt them? Or am I going to stop my chest from being exploded?
Yeah,
like,
that's basically the felt I got. Because that's how you defeat them, apparently.
Yeah, because especially with how hard they'd be throwing a punch, it's either the Hulk's hitting their chest is caving in.
Yeah.
Or their arms getting fractured from hitting the Hulk at as much force as they possibly can. Those are their options. Like, you've ruined them. They're garbage. Oh, man. Oh, well. That's just... I don't know. I'm disappointed in the way that Secret Invasion seems like it's going to be working out, and that's all I have. Oh my god! That's not really double...